The Beyond the Fame podcast is fed by Lido Pizza. Lido Pizza never cuts corners. For menu and locations, visit LidoPizza.com. And of course, this podcast would not be possible without our longtime title sponsor, the Hollywood Casino at Charlestown Races in West Virginia. Upcoming featured August entertainment includes Jamie Johnson on August 9th and the $1 million Charlestown Classic Race and Festival on August 22nd. Enjoy live racing and live entertainment featuring Amanda Shires, Maggie Rose, and Susto. Free fun for the whole family. Details and tickets at HollywoodCasinoCharlestown.com. Must be 21 to enter the casino floor and attend a show. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Welcome to the newest episode of Beyond the Fame with Jason Fraley. I'm your host, Jason Fraley, picking the brains of the top filmmakers, musicians, and artists of our time. Former members of the Electric Light Orchestra rocked the Warner Theater in Washington, D.C. on September 11th under the name The Orchestra. I spoke with longtime ELO violinist Mick Kaminsky, as well as ELO Part 2 members Eric Troyer and Parthenon Huxley, to chart the band's various lineups over the years for a body of work that includes the 105-8 Overture, Evil Woman, Do Ya, Telephone Line, Don't Bring Me Down, and Four Little Diamonds. Hey everybody, this is a real special treat. We have three members of the orchestra joining us, longtime members of the various iterations of ELO. Let's go around the room and take turns introducing yourselves. I don't know who wants to go first.
Okay, I'll go first if you like, but I'm Mick Kaminsky. I joined ELO in '73 and I'm now part of the orchestra and we're still going strong.
On the violin, all those great years.
Plenty of violin, same tunes, but plenty of violin.
Awesome. All right, Eric.
I'm Eric Troyer, and I've been doing this for 30 some years. I started in '88 with the Electric Light Orchestra Part 2, and then now the orchestra. So yeah, it's been, I think I know these songs. I think I know them now.
Parthenon Huxley, I'm one of the new guys. I joined in 1998. So I've only been with this band 27 years with a little break in the middle. And yeah, we're a powerhouse band, a band that likes to be in each other's company, and it's been a lot of fun.
I like how it's like I'm the new guy, but it's still been since the late 90s. So you all of you have been playing this music for decades. So we're in for a real treat, folks. It's the orchestra coming to Warner Theater in Washington, D.C. on September 11th. Well, I still can't say that date without thinking back. But anyway, we're really excited to have you in D.C. I want to paint some of the band's history and some of the great songs we'll hear and all that. But real quick, I know, Parthenon, you have a local connection to Bethesda, right? I mean, Eric, you're from Indiana, and Mick, you're from England. But Parthenon, remind us where the local ties.
Well, I didn't grow up here. I moved here 20 years ago to raise a family, but I'm kind of a geographic mutt. I've lived in Louisiana, New Jersey, Greece, California, New York. But I landed here. We were out in LA and we brought our family east where my wife is from. She's from this area.
Oh, cool.
And I'm in Chevy Chase. And it's worked. It's been really nice. So I'm looking forward to the Warner Theater.
Awesome. So you know Chevy Chase Circle well. It's much easier to navigate than DuPont Circle. I don't. Do you remember that movie? What was it? Michael Douglas and Annette Bening, the American president, and they get stuck in DuPont Circle and they can't get out.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, that's funny.
Or what was it? Chevy Chase in European Vacation? They go Big Ben Parliament, Big Ben Parliament. Anyway. Hey, let's go into a little bit of the band's history. So I guess Mick, you'll probably field these next few since you've been there the longest, and then Eric, obviously Eric and Parthon, you can chime in with any details you've heard about the lore of the band over the years, obviously. But so Mick, so ELO forms in England in 1970. Jeff Lynne, Roy Wood, Bevan.
That's correct.
And you joined a couple years later, but I'm sure you've heard the story. How'd they settle on the name Electric Light Orchestra? I mean, it's pretty indicative of the sound.
That was down to Roy Wood basically. He came up with the name Electric Light Orchestra, and it just carried on from there really.
Absolutely. That first album was called Electric Light Orchestra in '71, and I love that song, the 105-8 Overture, used brilliantly in that movie American Hustle, 2013.
That's right. Yep.
Yeah. Why do you think the themes can resonate over the years?
Oh, I don't know. It's just a great guitar hook. It's my favorite. When I auditioned for the band, it was my favorite song in the band, and I think it was the one that clinched the audition actually. But it's just a great tune. Eric, you got something to say?
Yeah, I thought it was related to like the dystopian future.
Yeah.
type thing where you didn't have a name, you just had a number.
Like a Big Brother number kind of a thing?
Yeah, there was a British show that what was that called with the was a string.
Old guys trying to remember stuff.
Yeah, oh no. Woo! Alert, alert. What was
Was
it?
it The Prisoner?
Yes, the prisoner.
Prisoner.
Thank you for the winner, Mick.
Still got two
Prisoner.
bells
Yeah,
Still
working.
got it.
this
So,
ball is chasing them everywhere, but there was a
Yeah.
it was a dystopian future. I thought it was related to that when he wrote it, but I could be wrong.
Ah, you might be right. You might have. Did you see your friend crying from his eyes? It's great. It's arguably one of my favorites of yours. All right. Well, then moving along, then they do the second album, ELO 2, and then after that, that's when you come in, right? Mick Kaminsky brought in for the third album, On the New Day. How'd they bring you in? How'd they spot you?
it was just an audition, newspaper ads. So I applied and eventually got the job. So that was my first experience of ELO, basically.
So after the fourth album, El Dorado in 74, the fifth one, Face the Music in 75, has that huge hit, Evil Woman. I think it's in the top 10 even here in the States. So you're getting some play all across the pond. Mick, since you were there at the time, any insights you can give us on in the recording booth of Evil Woman, playing that for the first time?
It was a strange process because Jeff, Richard, and Bev put down a backing track, and then we just kept adding things onto it, basically. So there was obviously strings, and the vocals were usually the last thing. Jeff kept the vocals till very late, so it was interesting.
Well, everyone will be rocking out to that at Warner Theater. The Evil Woman. Everyone's going to sing every word. Great. Moving right along. The sixth album, A New World Record in 76. Living Thing. Do Ya? Do you want my face? Everyone remembers that. That's still played on Classic Rock Countdown. But I want to ask you about the song Telephone Line off of there. You know, the one, for folks who don't remember, it's the one that goes, do I? Mick, how did that one come together? Because that one's so catchy.
I wasn't very involved in the obviously in the vocal bits, but the strings were just put down courtesy of Lou Clark and whatever, and just Jeff took the final mix and put it all together, basically.
Fantastic. And how about you all? This is a way I can bring you all in, even though I know you were not in the band at this point yet. But do you remember picking up that vinyl and listening to that album?
I can't remember when I had that one. I remember first of all, I remember hearing all the early records. The first couple records were pretty dense. Not a lot of pop hits on there, you know. Beethoven and 105.38 being the exceptions. But it wasn't really I remember the first album I knew note by note was Out of the Blue. And before that I knew what the ELO stuff was, but I didn't own every album. But when these guys called to audition me, I had 4 ELO albums in my closet, you know, not knowing they would hold magic in them.
It's funny you mentioned Out of the Blue because my wife, when I told her I was interviewing you all, that's the one she wants to talk about because her dad played the vinyl Out of the Blue over and over again. So she loved Mr. Blue Sky, but she said she would make him turn off Jungle because the sounds would scare her. And by the way, my wife was listening to Jungle, like rocking out to it this morning. So I think she overcame her fear of it. Well, let's move on.
Good to know.
Good to know. All right. Well, then Discovery, the eighth album, comes out in 79. And Don't Bring Me Down is a smash hit. I'm sure you all remember where you were when you heard that for the first time.
Well, I don't know where I was, but I was impressed. I was like, oh wow, this is really kind of just sort of a real in your face seventh sort of figure. I mean, as a musician, you know how the parts were created, but yeah, I was like, well, this is really impressive. Kind of Beach Boyish. It sort of had that vibe at first, I thought, but yeah, big hit, huge hit.
I don't think there were any strings on it, right?
No strings. And I used to mime on keyboards for the videos, and that was about it, basically.
You
Yeah,
mimed on keyboard. You pretended to play the keys.
Because
Well,
that's that was the first big hit I think that had abandoned the strings.
right.
It did have a very different sound from all the previous stuff.
Yeah,
Well,
no
yeah, they actually clipped a loop, the drum loop, and much to I think Bev's dismay, wasn't it? He wasn't particularly crazy about that. At least that's what I heard.
Right.
But they made a loop and used it. It was all tape,
And
so it was very difficult to make a loop.
they took the loop from a song called On the Run. They took the
Ah,
loop from a different song, slowed it down maybe a little bit to gosh and make it all kind of mushy. And so it was in effect an early looped
Yeah,
song. It was a
definitely innovative.
And it's one of, isn't it one of those songs with like where it's famously misquoted, like there's a bathroom on the
Bruce.
right. Everyone goes Bruce, but it really, what do they really say? Like a made up word, right? Like Bruce.
Yeah, Bruce. G, yeah, Bruce.
What was it for? It's just nonsensical. It was just gibberish.
Well,
I
I
think
think they recorded it. They were always recording in Hamburg, Germany, so it probably maybe had a little bit of a Germanic influence. Gruß sounds kind of
I
German.
think Jeff did it as nonsense first, is what I understand. Just a nonsense thing, and his engineer Mac was German. He said, "What's that you're saying?" He says, "Gruß." He says, "Oh, well, you know what that means?" And he goes, "I don't think it means anything." He says, "Yeah, it was a German word for something."
All right, so Gruß. And if it's plural, it's Grease. No. Well, I flubbed into a segue because Xanadu was next. I didn't even mean to do that, but there you go. Grease to Olivia Newton-John to Xanadu. Who wants to take that?
Great, great record, great songs on it. But
Yeah.
yeah, big hits, huge hits.
And rest in peace. We lost Olivia Newton-John, but that ELO and her voice will be forever frozen in time on that record.
I think that
Yeah,
was the band's only number one was that one.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it was all because of ELO, right? We'll go with that.
No,
Yeah,
it's just
combination.
ironic that the only number one they ever had was with Olivia Newton-John.
For a movie. Did you have any involvement on that, Mick, or did you kind of lay out on that one?
No, I was well out of that one, I'm afraid.
Well, that's all right. That's all right. But you were there for what? Time, Hold On Tight, and for Secret Messages with Four Little Diamonds. Were you still there for
Uh,
those?
bits and pieces, but no big involvement, to be honest.
Okay. Well, I still jam out to that. Four Little Diamonds. Will we hear that one? Is that in the set list in DC? No.
We used to do that. We did that for a while.
Why did it get cut? Why wasn't it up to snuff?
Uh, I don't
There's too
know.
many to pick from.
I think Mick was playing keyboards on that, weren't you,
Yeah,
Mick?
sure, yeah.
Oh yeah, you're miming on your keyboards.
I mean, he was
Not a big
actually
hit.
playing.
Oh, you were actually playing this time. All right, you
Yeah.
graduated to actually playing. All right.
There's only two fingers though, so there's
Yeah.
no great
Two
trouble.
little fingers. No, a whole new generation knows it from the video game Grand Theft Auto. They played Four Little Diamonds on there.
Oh,
Really?
So,
I didn't know that.
yeah, you're transcending time. Different generations. All right. Well, now we are at the point in the chronology where Eric Troyer can officially. This is when you join in, right? So, well, around this time, I guess after Balance of Power. Then, so paint a picture of where you are right before you join ELO Part Two. You were doing like speaking of movies, we mentioned Xanadu, but weren't you like a session musician on Flashdance, Footloose, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I did a lot of singing on records, and I lived in New York City, and was jingles and records. I did a lot of that back in the day, just before that.
And where
But
where were you growing up in Indiana? Where exactly?
Elkhart.
Okay, where exactly in the state?
Right.
My wife and I just drove across country and we stopped at South Bend because I wanted to see Notre
Then
Dame.
you drove through Elkhart before you got to South Bend
Okay.
because it's all on the
Eric, what were
turnpike.
some of the songs you sang on as a session singer?
Oh, well, I sang well, a lot of different people, James Taylor, Carly Simon, Kiss.
Eric's burying the lead here. He's being humble for some reason, or he can't or he just doesn't remember that he sang with.
Well, I do remember, I sang with John Lennon on Woman.
Oh, oh,
So on the song Woman,
Wow.
just before he was killed, actually, he was recording a double fantasy with Yoko, and I sang with him on that. And I did a lot of work with Billy Joel on Innocent Man and a lot of stuff for Jim Steinman. So for Jim Steinman, I ended up working with Barbra Streisand, Celine Dion, Total Eclipse of the Heart with Bonnie Tyler, and Barry Manilow, a bunch of other artists. That's actually how I got connected with the ELO thing. The band Air Supply, I did some vocals for Air Supply, and Jim Steinman wrote the song that we were doing, Making Love Out of Nothing at All.
Yeah.
And so Don Arden was putting together this new offshoot of ELO Part Two, and they were going through all the motions. And he was managing Air Supply at the time, so he asked uh, uh, Jim Steinman, "Hey, do you have any idea of somebody who might be a good fit for this new ELO Part Two?" And he recommended me, so that's how I ended up getting that gig.
Ah, awesome. So that's how you get brought into it. Okay, yeah. And we should tell everyone. So ELO Part 2, I guess, starts to come together around what, like 88, Bev?
Well, 88 was the first initial, but then there was a lot of waiting while all the legalities got figured out.
Is that because
Um,
Jeff Lynne didn't want to keep it going, but Bevan did, so they had to like work that out, and then by 1991 is when ELO Part 2, the album, comes out.
yeah, I don't know exactly what was in Jeff's mind, but he seemed to sort of close up ELO back, was it about 86? I think they did one show, a benefit in 86, and that was it. Um, and then that's when Bev was like, "Oh, I'd like to go back on the road and do some more work." And Jeff was like, "Nah." He was busy. I think he was hanging out with the Beatles and that kind of thing. So and doing a lot of producing, which he's a fabulous producer.
When you say
But so
hanging out with the Beatles, what do you mean? Because you played with Lennon, but he gets killed in what, 80? So you mean he was hanging out with Paul and George and Ringo? Or
well, George for sure.
George Manley.
Yeah, that was just a generalization, but it was mainly
Yeah.
George and doing a lot of producing for those kind of projects. Um, but yeah, so that kind of took shape in 88, but I don't think we really started doing anything till 90 or I would go over to England every once in a while and we'd hang around a studio and come up with some songs and sort of put a set list together of things for an album. And then I think that finally started to take shape in 90 and 91. I think our first gigs were 91, something like that.
gotcha. Now the timeline is starting to make sense now. It's all because that is when Jeff and George were doing the Traveling Wilburys thing, right? With Tom Petty and
I
Dylan
think
and
I think
whoever.
before the Wilburys, Jeff produced Cloud Nine, which was George's solo album.
Gotcha. A
Got
long
my
time
mind
ago.
set on you, all that
I
stuff.
got my mindset. Oh, that's good, man. This music is all timeless. But all right, so at this point in the interview, folks, if you can imagine, close your eyes while you're listening to this podcast, and imagine two parallel lines going now. So it kind of splits off. All right, so you all then ELO Part 2. Mick, you are on one track, Heartbreaker, and speaking of Tom Petty, you're on Heartbreaker, and then on Moment of Truth, the next one, you were on.
He was on a
Um,
lot of stuff in that one now.
Well, Eric, what was it like putting those two together there? So it's like a whole new generation. I mean, 1991 and 95, those albums there. Did you feel pressure to match what was done before? Or were you more excited, that you got to inherit this mantle and keep playing with Mick and these guys and keep it going?
A little bit of all that, I suppose. I mean, it was great meeting Mick and Kelly and Lou Clark. Those guys were just, it was so much fun to be with. Bev too. Bev was a pretty cool guy. And, I stayed with him while we were working on the record and stuff. So, got to know him pretty well. But yeah, it was, I guess it was like, here's an opportunity. And I loved the music and I loved where Jeff Lynne had come from. And like all these kind of channels of music, they sort of run a course and then they have peaks and valleys. And I was hoping to be a part of a peak again. So we worked really hard and we had some success. But it's carried on to this
Yeah,
day.
absolutely. All right, and then Parthenon, this is basically when around the time you come in then, right? Because you start touring with the guys in 99, is that right? So you're there for No Rewind in 2001. That was your first like album with them.
Yeah, that's one reason I was excited to join was Eric said they were looking for a singer and a guitarist and somebody who could write. So I said, well, that's exciting. So
Yeah.
it was fantastic to write a record knowing the band was going to be these guys from ELO. I mean, it's just kind of nuts. Like, here's your backing band, not backing band, obviously, but here's your band, Mick and Kelly and Bev and Lou Clark. And so I knew the string arrangements would be great, the violin would be great, the drums and bass. So it was just super fun for me to write songs that I felt were kind of mine and kind of in the mold. You have to, you don't want to, it's not a blues band. I'm not going
Yeah.
to bring a blues into it. So it was really fun to write songs for this band and the string arrangements especially just oh my God, Lou is such a genius. And once you hear really great strings on a song you've written, it elevates you. Oh, there's my string arrangement. It's just like it really raises it to a new level. It's beautiful because I'd give Lou like one hint and then he'd come back with the whole thing.
It makes it epic. It almost makes it hard to listen to songs without strings after you've heard your guys' stuff with the strings.
I wouldn't
Thanks.
go that far.
And I should say that one, No Rewind in 2001, that was released as the Orchestra. So that's like the third name of the band. And we don't want to get bogged down in legalese, but just to explain it to the listeners, Bevan sells his half of their name rights back to Jeff Lynne, and he now tours as Jeff Lynne's ELO, quote unquote, while you all tour as, quote unquote, the Orchestra featuring former members of ELO. Is that right?
That's it.
Basically,
Okay, gotcha. I think Jeff Lynne's outfit performed at Capital One Arena in DC like last September, and now you guys are here this time. Is there like a friendly rivalry? Is there bad blood, or is it rising tide raises all boats? It's all getting the music out there. However you want to describe it.
I would say there's no relationship.
No relationship at all.
not really.
Does anyone want to elaborate? I mean, hey, this is a tale as old as time. Bands break up and shoot off all the time. We've interviewed a million offshoots of every different band. So, is there anything you want to elaborate other than saying there's no relationship?
Nope.
All right. Not even we wish him well. No, it's
No,
okay.
I mean, he is ill apparently, so we do wish him well. He had to cancel his last show, which sucks. I'm sure that was a huge disappointment for him. But I've never met Jeff, so
Okay.
for me to talk about him is kind of pointless,
Gotcha.
and so I just love his catalog. I mean, his catalog is fantastic, and it's a great privilege for us to play it.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. We wish him well in his health recovery, and you love his catalog. And other than that, you guys are doing your thing. We'll leave it at
Yep.
that. Well, I wanted to move on from that topic, but I want to at least mention the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. ELO goes in 2017 with Jeff, Roy, Bev, and Richard Tandy. But Mick, come on, you should have been there. I'm going to say it. You played
Oh,
strings
yeah.
on all those hits. You should have been there.
What can I say? I wasn't invited, so there's no way around it, really.
Also, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame has some very strange rules, like it has to be the original band. So when Chicago got in, they had to go back to Danny Seraphine, I think is his name,
Yeah.
instead of the guy who'd been with them for the last 30 years. So
Yeah. Yeah.
it's a little weird. The bands had no choice in it.
Yeah.
It's unless they fight, unless it's Bruce and he says, "Well, I'm bringing, the whole E Street Band or whatever." But
You mean
there's,
Bruce? Bruce Springsteen.
I
Bruce
did not mean.
Springsteen.
I think they only Roy, Jeff, and Bev were the ones who were really invited, and then Jeff
Yeah.
insisted on bringing along Richard Tandy because he'd
Uh,
stuck with him through the years. But Bev had a tour with Jasper Carrot over in England, so he didn't make it, and I don't think Tandy was there.
Gotcha. It's so political because we just had Danny Hutton of Three Dog Night, and we were talking about all of not only Three Dog Night hits, a million of them, but also he did the first demo of your song before Elton John did it. He was with Brian Wilson, witnessing Pet Sounds record like the stories he told. He was a Rock and Roll Hall of Famer shoo-in if there ever was one, and they didn't put Three Dog Night in. So you know what I mean? It's political, but anyway, we can at least say. Mick, you are I don't care whether it's official or not, you are a effing Hall of Famer, baby. These are your songs.
Well,
It's going to be
take-
great music. But these songs, you're going to hear all of these songs at Warner Theater in DC. Is there anything else we should say about, the show itself, bringing it full circle back to the Warner Theater show, like presentation-wise, lights, video walls, like anything you want to tease in terms of that stuff?
Well, we do a pretty serious recreation of the way the record sounded. We're really proud of that. The vocals, got some great vocalists, and we really take pride in getting all those things right. We do have a video show that goes along with it, which is entertaining,
Yeah.
and we have we're our own personalities. We manage to inject our own personality into what we do too. So. It's kind of a lot of fun. We have fun on stage. We all love each other. We're like a band of brothers, and so it shows. We there's no like scowling or people just standing around doing nothing. We move around, and we like I said, we're a band of brothers. We show it on stage.
I can tell just by the way you guys are kind of smiling and riffing off each other in this little four-way Zoom here. I can tell you all get along and have a blast. Anything else we can add before we go? I don't know. Let's just do some random things off the top of the head, or I'll go around the room. Is there a band that got each of you into music to begin with? Mick, what was the band that got you into music as a kid?
It probably goes sort of back to jazz, basically. But
Yeah,
obviously,
like
when rock and roll kicked in, I was obviously the Beatles influenced everybody. So just to Beatles to ELO, basically.
awesome. How about you, Eric?
Yeah, well, I mean, I listened to all kinds of music before. I grew up, and in my house, listened to a lot of classical music. I took piano lessons. We heavy church influence, singing in at church. That was it. That was it for me. I mean, I was in folk singing groups before the Beatles, but then when the Beatles came along, I was like, nah, rock and roll.
But you still have a special place in your heart for folk.
Not
Not
really.
really. More rock and roll. That changed everything. All right, Parthenon. How about you? Which band or artist slash
Really,
artist got you into it as a kid?
Beatles.
Beatles. So pretty much
Yeah.
all the way around, Beatles inspired everything.
Well, I mean, me and 50 million other kids,
Yeah,
on Ed Sullivan. So it was like, oh my God, they can do that. Like they could make all that noise with only four of them. That was a revelation.
absolutely. Changed everything. All right. Go around the room again. How about a contemporary artist that you admire? Mick, anybody?
Not for me. I hardly ever listen to music, to be honest.
Really? You just play it. You don't go back and listen to it. All right, that's
Yeah,
fair.
there's a band from South Sudan called Mahmoud Mokhtar, and it's guitar, two guitars, bass, and drums, and they don't play Western modes.
Oh,
And so if you really love guitar, really love guitar, it's really super cool. And I have two daughters who turn me on to a lot of music, like Phoebe Bridgers, and
oh yeah.
um, it's just people say, "Oh, the music sucks." I say, well, that's because you don't go to clubs anymore. That's why you don't know any bands today. If you still going to clubs or hanging around while you drop off your kids, then you'd see how many amazing bands really are out there. It's still really impressive what's going on.
Yeah. Eric, anybody you admire from at least from the last, I don't know, 25 years?
Yeah, sure. I kind of like Portugal the Man, Muse. I really admire as a songwriter. I really admire country music songwriting. I mean, some of the stuff is just incredible.
All right, last one for random around the room questions. I'm a big movie guy. Do you each have a favorite movie or TV show? Because I know that's everyone binges stuff. But what do you like watching?
Gosh, I'm hooked on quite a few soaps over here, but TV shows. I used to love a series called When the Boat Comes In, which was the northeastern drama set in
Okay.
the boat building times. But I can watch anything, to be honest.
Yeah.
But
Well, you were born in what, 51? So that's An
yeah,
American in Paris and A Place in the Sun and a lot of Streetcar Named Desire. That's a good year for movies.
sure, yeah.
How about you, Eric? What do you have a favorite flick?
Well, I do. I read a lot of books by this author. I can't think of his name, but Slow Horses is what they turned the show into, and I think they're
Yeah,
on a sixth season. It's just some of the best everything, writing, acting, editing.
that's Gary Oldman, right?
Gary
Well,
Oldman,
Yeah.
and the cast is spectacular. A lot of them are not well-known names, but they're really good. And the scripts, I mean, they're so great. And they have a new season coming out. But I love that show. The books are just as good as the show. Um, I can't think of his name. Sorry.
Well, everyone's familiar with the show, so that's a great suggestion. All right, finally, Parthenon. Do you have a favorite movie or show?
Yeah, I mean, once streaming hit, I think it officially started for me with The Sopranos, which is one of the great all-time shows. And then it took me two or three times to finish Breaking Bad because I couldn't bear the tension of it. It was just
Too stressful for you?
really,
I still
really
can't. I
stressful.
still
Like
can't.
I'd be watching it late at night and going, why am I going to go to bed full of stress over whether he's going to be killed or not?
Yeah.
And then Slow Horses is fabulous. I'm in the middle of Foundation right now, which is based on Isaac Asimov's book. And White Lotus was great. There's the difference is you've got Apple supplying all this money to the production
Yeah.
houses. Like,
Yeah, or Netflix. They've undercut the entire old studio system, and now
well,
it's what like
yeah,
Silicon Valley is the new studio system.
but they also undercut it with fabulous stuff.
Oh, it's
Like
great stuff. Yeah, I don't want to not a negative. Apple, gosh, there's so
streaming
much good
series
stuff
are
on
just
Apple.
incredible.
Shrinking. There's a bunch of good shows on Apple.
I was Shrinking, yeah.
Ted Lasso is coming back.
Ted
Anyway,
Lasso is brilliant.
Mick, is that accurate portrayal of soccer in Britain?
Ladies are doing better than the men, to be honest.
Awesome. Hey, thank you so much for indulging me in those extra questions. But speaking of shows, no one puts on a better show than the orchestra. All of you great members of various ELO iterations over the years, you're going to be coming to the Warner Theater in Washington, D.C. on September 11th. So everybody, get your tickets now. Thanks so much for doing this. It was a blast meeting you all. I really, really appreciate it.
Thanks, Jason.
Thanks for having us.
Great
Right.
to meet you. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks so much for listening to Beyond the Fame with Jason Fraley. Our theme music is Scott Buckley's Clarion. Remember to give us a 5-star rating if you like what you hear. We'll see you next time.